Superman and Lois is back with another episode yet again. Another great episode. I just love this show. This show is just so good. But we've got quite a bit to talk about today, so let's go ahead and jump into this. But before I do, quick spoiler warning. So, spoilers. So now you've been warned. But anyway, this episode starts off with a flashback to 6 years ago where we see Morgan Edge, and he is pulling up in a vehicle, and it looks like there's like a meteor shower or something going on here. And then when they pull over the car, he stands in front of like some sort of thing that has crashed into the ground, and it looks like this weird like red crystal-y thing, and you have to assume it's some sort of Kryptonian thing. This could be related to his henchman or henchwoman that we saw at the end of last episode. The Kryptonian lady, turns out she works for Morgan Edge. So seems like this could have some tie to that, or it could have some tie to the kryptonite that they found. Then again, I'm not completely sure. But then we go back to regular present day, where we're having a football game. A great football game. I love football, so I love seeing this. And Jordan just, of course, he completely dominates the field because of his powers / not powers. And he ends up helping them get the win. But unfortunately, Lois's dad, aka Sam Lane, he shows up to watch the game as well. And he sees that, and then that's when he finds out that, well, Jordan has powers. And he's not too happy about that. Not at all. And then he finds out, like, oh, they know about Clark being Superman, and then he warns them, like, don't get in the way of Superman because he has duties and people's lives are at risk. So basically he convolutes their heads, and this ends up making things not go great towards the end of the episode. But Lois is still on her mystery and investigation of Morgan Edge. And she is being attacked by a whole bunch of Morgan Edge's lawyers and everything. So she can't really do anything legally to take down Morgan Edge. So there is this vote coming up to vote on whether Smallville wants to allow Morgan Edge to mine the Smallville mines. And everybody is all for it because they're like, oh, more jobs and everything. But Lois, since she can't do anything publicly there, she asks Clark to go and, speak for a bit, because he is kind of a speech giver, kind of a bringer of hope, kind of like Supergirl. So she's like, why don't you go inspire the people to vote against Morgan Edge? And he's like, yeah, sure, I'd love to do that. But unfortunately, he misses the meeting and he is not able to do it because he's off doing some Superman things. So that's not good, and they have a bit of a fight there after that because Lois is worried that she's Clark's like last priority and everything, and this is where the main topic of the show comes into question, because that's what the show is all about. Superman, or Clark, trying to balance being Superman and a father at the same time, and especially in this episode is really that word. That it is just so hard to do this, so hard to balance that out. And then we see that reflected again during the final battle here of the episode, where Tech or Ted, I didn't quite get his name. I at first I thought it was Ted, but then it sounded like there was a K on the end, so I think his name is Tech. I mean, that's kind of a weird name, but a lot of people have weird names nowadays. So Tech is another player on the football team, and unfortunately he has this arm cast because he was injured. I think the coach said that he went to a keg party or something and he got his arm all messed up. But then all of a sudden his arm starts vibrating, and then his cast breaks, and this is where things start to go wrong for him, because then his arm starts vibrating, and then the cast breaks, like I said, and then all of a sudden he's normal. And then he's at a party that Jordan and Jonathan show up to. They don't really do much there. I mean, Jordan talks to Sarah a little bit more, getting the flirty stuff going on there. But then things go wrong for Tech again when his arm starts vibrating, and then his whole body starts vibrating, and he goes out to the woods, and then Jordan and Jonathan notice something is wrong, so they go after him, they try to help. Jordan thinks, oh, I have powers so I can help, and then he tries, and then he gets flung halfway across the woods. So clearly he's not helping out in this situation. So Jonathan is like, you know what, why don't we just call our dad, because, he's Superman. He can help us out here. So that is exactly what they do. They use the little pager thing and they call Superman. But unfortunately, he's busy at the moment doing other Superman things, taking on this villain known as Kilgrave, because apparently he was being transferred from one prison to another. And then, of course, he escaped because, anytime you see a prison transfer in any movie or TV show, something's going to go wrong, and of course he escaped. And this character, I don't think he's a character from DC Comics, but he might be, or even if he is, I don't think he's an important character. But he just reminded me a lot of Toyman, like the stuff that he used, like that gum at the beginning, the little drone disc thing that he used, and then even the gun at the end, just really reminded me of Toyman, especially like the Toyman that we saw on Smallville years ago. So he's not Toyman because we already have an Arrowverse Toyman with on Supergirl. He's actually dead, but he was the father of Wynn. So I mean, maybe this is basically like Superman and Lois's version of Toyman without using the actual Toyman. But I mean, he was still a cool little villain that you had going on here. But of course, Superman, he's able to take him out pretty easily because he's literally just a guy with a gun. So he takes him out, and then he is able to come over and help out with Jordan and Jonathan and save Tech, basically. And the whole thing with Tech was pretty cool. It, again, reminded me of Smallville. There's a lot of references to Smallville in the show, and I love that because I love Smallville. And he just definitely reminded me of like the classic villain of the week in like the first couple seasons of Smallville, how like you would have like another classmate of Clark's at Smallville High, or just some random person that like, oh, something goes wrong and they get powers and then they turn evil and then boom, they're the villain of the week. That's definitely what it reminded me of here. Obviously the character wasn't really fleshed out that much, but I think it was still really cool to see, and I enjoyed seeing Tech as kind of the villain of the week, even though he wasn't really a villain. He was kind of just in pain and really needed help, but he got the help, and now he's going to this full-on like special school for kids with special abilities and powers, which basically the X-Men, the school of mutants and everything. But yeah, so there's that. The day is saved and everything is good like that. So Clark decides to surprise Lois with a special date night, but of course General Lane has to call in with an emergency. But General Lane is super shady. He goes full on sus mode here because after he gets off the phone with Clark, he calls some other person working in the government, like some higher up, and he says like he wants to open Project 7734. And we know that is the project that Captain Luthor basically warned him about and told him about, giving him the dog tag thing there, the 7734 that upside down says hell. So General Lane now has a grudge against Superman because he does not like the way that he is trying to balance Clark and Superman. So he decides to take action, and he's like, I'm going to open up Project 7734. And this is interesting. I did not expect him to actually, turn evil. I mean, he's not full-on evil, but yeah, it's very interesting. And then the cliffhanger we get for the episode, it isn't really a big one, but we have Morgan Edge and his Kryptonian lady friend, and they are in the Smallville mines, and we basically find out why he is so obsessed with Smallville and why he wants to, open up jobs, save the community. It's really just because he wanted to get to the whole fresh batch of kryptonite that is hidden inside of the Smallville mines, and that is where it ends. So yeah, pretty interesting. A good episode of Superman and Lois. I think, probably the least good of the episodes we have so far, but, that's hard to judge because, I mean, every episode is so good. I just really love the show, and, it was just another good episode. So, guys, of course, let me know down in the comments below, what did you think about this episode of Superman and Lois, episode 4? And, of course, let me know your thoughts and theories on next week's episode as well. So, thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and hit the subscribe button so I can keep up to date on everything